Hey guys, Tim and Shana from Beastanetics back with more planks, but this time we're showing you ballistic ones, so a little higher intensity. We're going to show you 4, and we're going to begin with something that's probably familiar to most of you called a mountain climber. So we're starting in a neutral plank position. Got those elbows under the shoulders, the wrists under the elbows. And then Shauna's going to drive her knee forward, and the shin is almost parallel to the ground, not quite. And then that foot's going to come back, and then the other knee is going to come forward. Now, unlike the more static planks, in this case, we're going to go at a faster pace. It doesn't have to be crazy fast because you're still keeping that core engaged. You don't want to lose that, but a pace that you can sustain. So there's a lot of push off from the balls of the feet. You're getting a lot of hip flexion. So now you have all the benefits of a plank plus all that hip drive. So the legs are getting a nice workout. Now for some people, that's a little bit too intense. It also might bother their low back. So what you can do is elevate. Here we're on our 16-inch bench. Now this is a more comfortable position for a lot of people. It changes the exercise somewhat. For a lot of folks, they can get more hip drive into it, which is a definite benefit. Even the wall is an option here. But a bench is always going to be a possibility for the other 3 plank exercises that we're going to show you as well. Taking that mountain climber to another level, we're going to add some impact. This is called a mountain jumper, but it's not so much of a jump as it is having the foot touch down. So before, remember, the knee stayed in the air, right? Well, and so did the foot. The knee's always going to stay in the air. The foot stayed in the air. And then the tap down was in the back, right, when you're fully extended. This time, the foot is going to tap down as it approaches the hand, and then there's a switch. So it is a bit of a hop, or you could call it a jump, and switch, and switch. Now, one of the keys on this is the kneecaps need to stay facing forward. So as Shana changes and faces the camera, you can see her knees. And what we want to avoid is that knee torquing out either in, but more commonly out. Yeah, and that's where you're going to get some real problems. That's gonna hurt and set you up for injury. But just straight ahead, kneecap straight ahead, foot taps down, little jump, and a switch, and a switch. Now that's a lot of pressure on the low back, so if you want to do that from an elevated surface, here is your switch, 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 switch. A little bit less impact when you're elevated, right? But that might work well for you or for your students. Beautiful, good. Yeah, it probably feels a lot better. Okay, so now we're going to show you 2 more. The next one's called a plank jack. And as you might have guessed, the feet are going to come apart and then they're going to come back together. So here we've got the front view, and you can see apart, together. So you got to find a range of motion that works for you, and a pace that works for you. And then while that's happening, you want to make sure that your low back is not collapsing. Yeah, so to add a little intensity, you push harder and the feet leave the ground, and they come up much higher, right? But so if we look at it from the side, we just want to make sure that the low back doesn't collapse as the feet come apart, because that could happen. Here it's stable, and there it is not. So for a person like that, it's not a good choice, right? You would regress them back to some other plank variation. And then perhaps the most intense is what we call a plank slalom. And here, both legs are going side to side. So a lot of demands on the obliques as well as on the shoulders and the triceps, because as both feet jump, all the pressure is on the upper body. And what you're trying to do is be consistent as far as how far you go to the left and to the right. So now some people who are very dominant to one side, so we'll just bias it here. So let's imagine Shana really likes to jump to her left. She's going to go way to the left, but only a little bit to the right. Yeah, way left, not so much to the right. So that's going to create more of an imbalance over time and potentially create some issues with the spine. So we don't want to do that. So you got variables there too. You got your pace, you have the magnitude of the jump, but regardless, you want to make sure that you're stable in the core and the spine. Your wrists don't bother you. Yeah, can start small. Always start small. It's a safe way to do it. And this is great cardio too. So there's 4 more ballistic plank options for you to add to your plank library. We think you're going to like them. They have a lot of great benefits. And thanks for joining us, guys. We will see you next time.